All right, everybody, welcome to the interview we are doing today with End0fForever from 1047 Games. I've known Endo for a very long time and in many capacities, and we are now about 2 months after a little over 2 months since the launch of Splitgate 2. Right, we're heading into Chapter 3 here soon, and very thankful to have Endo with us today. But before we start getting into the questions and discussing Splitgate 2 and everything that it is and will be in the future. Endo, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and why you're here today?
Yeah, of course. I have somewhat of an unconventional history with 1047 games. Should be somewhat pertinent to what I say, give us a little bit of context, because I'm actually on a 6-month contract on that last month. In a couple weeks will be my last day. And that was regardless of how successful the game was, just putting that out there. But a little more background. I was actually initially hired full-time as a social media manager by 1047 Games back in summer of 2021. And then I was with the company for a little over 2 years, and then they fired me. But through some, process of time, let's just put it that way, it actually made a lot of sense for me to come back for 6 months to help to launch the game, not relaunch, but launch the game, and to just help out in general and execute. So at the end of this second stint at 1047, I've loved it here. But I think I can provide some pretty good insight about the game and where it's going for your audience.
Yeah, thank you. So what do you, just so for those of you who out there and might be wondering, like, what does somebody in your title do day to day? Somebody who's maybe looking into getting the gaming industry, what do you actually do? Like, what are your job duties at 1047?
So right now I'm a part-time community manager, and that's ultimately what I ended up doing after being hired as a social media manager, was just community management. And community management, it's a lot more than just like, hey, let's talk to the fans, let's talk to our community members, let's make sure they're like in the know, that they know what's coming, what to expect. Although that's a very important part. A lot of it is unseen, right? You'll have a lot of work to do with like preparing for an event, for example, right? Like if you've ever planned and prepared and executed an event, like an online event, let's say like a tournament or whatever, for as a random example, there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of thinking that you have to do ahead of time. What do I have to, who needs to be there? Who needs to, like, who do I need to hire to get this task done? As like outsourcing a contract. Just like random miscellaneous things, right, that we pick up that have to result in whatever goals we have for the community. So like we'll have live service events for the game. We need to make sure that whatever we're planning in the game is communicated to the players, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's a ongoing problem with with like bugs, like right now there's like a pretty bad frame rate bug that hopefully by the time this video comes up we'll have a patch out, but maybe not soon, or soon later after. So yeah, I mean, community management, it's definitely a multiple roles type of thing. It's still community, but there's just so much breadth to the community aspect that it's really hard to like zero in on.
Yeah, no, it's probably a
How
jack
my
of all
task A,
trades
B, C, D,
position,
E, F,
kind of.
right? So
Wherever you're needed is where you are, probably, I would imagine, right?
yeah, exactly. And where I've been needed lately is I've just been spending a lot of time on Twitter X and Reddit, just like replying and talking to people, and Discord, of course. Like, want to make sure people know that, like, hey, we're listening. We might be in this transitory time with like how our mindset with the launch of the game, and we're transitioning to this like more long-term thinking, like we want to focus on the core community with the game's future and all that. So it's kind of a transition time right now. So if you feel like we're not communicating the best with you right now, it's because we're still figuring things out. We still want to talk to you. We're finding any excuse to say stuff. But yeah, a little bit of patience as we figure things out would go a long way.
Sounds good. So, as you've known me for a long time, crazy to think of how many years that may be. So, anyway, we're getting up there. But I'm a big battle royale guy in general, and one of the big things that Splitgate 2 brought to the table when compared to its predecessor was a 60-player battle royale mode, which was a really big deal. And I wanted to talk about battle royale specifically for a second because that's one of my big interests. So one of the things that's unique about Splitgate 2's BR mode is that it's the split worlds concept. There's several different what are, in the Splitgate 2 world, Onslaught maps, which Onslaught, if you're listening and you don't know, is a 24-player mode within Splitgate 2. And the Battle Royale map is essentially an amalgamation of those maps, kind of puzzle pieced together through these cool, gigantic portals. And I was just wondering, like, how the design for that and the ideas came together. Like, was it like always one, like the idea to do that? Or was it like, hey, we're going to make these 24-player maps, and then what if we piece them all together? Or was it, hey, we're going to make a Battle Royale map? Well, hey, what if we broke them down and then use those? How did that all come together? Like, what was that idea like, that design process?
Well, it was actually a glint in Cardinal Soldier's eye, our CEO, Ian. He's always kind of had this somewhat developing idea in the back of his mind, like what would a Battle Royale and Splitgate look like. And I think the earliest I've ever heard about a Battle Royale, like officially, was it was a conversation between Ian, Akuvo, and I. We were just shooting the breeze, and we were talking about just random stuff about the game. This is back in 2021. And we just had this, it got brought up somehow, like, what if Splitgate had a Battle Royale? Back then, it was just Splitgate 1, right? We hadn't even thought of moving on to Splitgate 2 at that point. And he explained to us, like, okay, this is what I envision, like, what a Splitgate Battle Royale would be. And he pulled out MS Paint, like a streamer would, and he's like, okay, so you have this zone, you can drop in any of these zones, but then there's giant portals between them. And these are large maps. They're not as large. He would describe it like it's not as large as like the Fortnite island, but he would say like, oh, it's like a pretty large, like bigger than a big team battle map from Halo sized map. And so that's where those came from. It wasn't, we didn't want to do multi-team first, although like ultimately we do want it and we like that mode. What multi-team kind of served as, at least early on, was kind of a way to beta test those maps and alpha test those maps before we announced a Battle Royale. So we had an excuse like, oh, here's a map that's
pretty clever.
Will be in Battle Royale, but we're not going to tell you that.
Right.
It's going to be in Battle Royale, but we can see like, are these maps actually good? Like in isolation at least. And so we created on the Onslaught mode to kind of do that. Although it stands up, in our opinion, it stands up pretty well on its own. I know you're not a big fan of it, but
it's not
that's
a bad mode. It's just not my favorite way to play. That's
yeah, so it's not your favorite, right? And I think now that I've told you that, you can probably see maybe why some people don't like it as much, because it wasn't the purpose of those maps originally weren't multi-team. It was meant for Battle Royale.
So they were kind of designed as BR biomes first, and then the decision was made as, we can also repurpose these as kind of, like you said, Splitgate.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it sound like we just recycled it and we just made a throwaway
No, it works
mode.
both ways.
Like,
I think that's what's really interesting.
We definitely like made it so it would work with both. I can't tell you, there was a ton of iterations on those maps. In fact, they had such drastic iterations. Back in my first stint, towards the end of my tenure, then like the Battle Royale mode was being made, and they had maps that didn't make the cut. Like all the maps they had at the time, I don't know if I should say like what kind of maps they were, but like it was the same idea, really large maps, but they had like no cohesion. They had to be reiterated on. Like the Inferno level, I could say this, like we did have an Inferno level from the beginning. There's like this giant volcano that you could go up, but that kind of stayed in with Inferno. But like we had to make a lot of changes to make sure it worked.
Right, and I think that to me is also one of the brilliant things about the way the BR is designed and the way the Split Worlds concept comes together. And I've talked about this on stream before, right? Is like, in any season in the future or whatever, you can just split one, like you can change the map without changing the entire map. You can literally just take one biome out, like let's say Inferno, and replace it with a new one this season, or expand the map. Hey, now there's another, like, or make it smaller too. You can kind of puzzle piece those together. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, exactly. And we can make minor changes to one of the maps, like Glacier. We added this, in fact, it kind of added a little bit of lore. But the Glacier has like a little floating island off the coast of Glacier.
I discovered this.
And you can like unlock a vault. Yeah.
I didn't know there was a vault there.
There's a vault. You stand on this. You have to check it out. I don't want to spoil it now.
I mean, it's on X today, right? Like there's a little thing about it today, I think.
Oh, yeah, there was.
I think so.
I replied to that.
So continuing with the BR discussion, we've seen BRs of all sizes since the genre came out. Apex, which is historically one of my favorite BRs, is also 60 players. And then you got, Warzone all the way up to like 150 or whatever, Fortnite at 99. How was that decision made to hone in on 60 players and 4-man squads, because you could have gone any which way with it. It was when it was a fresh, clean thing. You could have done 4-man, 3-man, duo, solo. How was that kind of design process?
Yeah, this might be a better question for someone like Akuvo, who's our lead game designer. But like from my various conversations with him and others, I can give a little insight on that. So like we had that baseline battle royale idea. Like I said, like Ian had this concept in his mind for a while. And basically, I think during the course of development, so this is like early Splitgate 2 development, we were working on the battle royale mode and the arena stuff at the same time. This is even before multi-team became a thing. They wanted to make sure that the development time was maximized. So it's not to say that like, okay, we wanted to cut corners or anywhere, but we wanted to very, very much leverage the developer time. So things like we wanted the gunplay to be exactly the same. We wanted the amount of damage that your guns would do be exactly the same kind of drop off. We didn't want to have like BR guns and then arena guns. We wanted just it to be unified. And so that's basically what informed decisions like that. Like what Akuvo himself told me was we wanted to make the battle royale mode be as close to like feeling like arena while still being battle royale, but like on the arena end of it.
Right.
So it's like, I think at one point we wanted to call it Arena Royale rather than Battle Royale, but we decided Battle Royale because that just has more name recognition.
People recognize it, yeah.
Like really, like I would describe it as Arena Royale. And like the difference, you can name the differences in one hand. There you get armor, there's chests, and you have unlimited. You can get unlimited perks for your particular faction, and you respawn next to your teammate. Like those are like the differences between even like split, like takedown and then BR mode.
So there was a really interesting, when BR was first announced and subsequently released that same night, over the next week, it was really interesting to see gamers in the community talk about arena versus BR. And again, I agree, they were designed, you could tell from the outside perspective, they were designed in conjunction with each other and complement each other. Like all the same systems apply to both, which is really clever. But there was an interesting discussion about, which mode is going to attract more players, which mode is going to retain more players. So I'm just wondering, from your guys' perspective, player base wise, what are you seeing? Are more people sticking in arena? Are more people sticking in BR? Is it even mix of both? What have you guys seen so far?
Yeah, so like we do have stats on that kind of stuff. Spent a lot of time, as much problems our back end has had. Like we spent a lot of time on making sure analytics were like a part of that flow of like we know what players are playing. I can't disclose specific numbers, but I will say that like in general, there's actually more people like tipped. If you're measuring it on a scale, it's tipping a little bit more to the arena side in general. But like you see spikes on either one depending on the time of day or just like whatever update came up. If we added like we have like a new, like if we introduce gun game, right? Like when gun game comes up, we'll have a spike in arena mode, right? Or if like we have a less popular mode, that maybe you see more in battle royale. So it's kind of that dynamic.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll say is some things that we're trying to measure and things that we hope we're going to be able to like program into our back end so we can measure it in the future is how much like what players are exclusively playing battle royale, which players are exclusively playing arena, and who are playing both.
That's really interesting.
More or less. I hope either we have it or we hope to have it in the future, because that will help inform like design decisions going forward. Because like I said, battle royale is more like arena royale, and we did that because like, okay, we know people are going to probably gravitate to this style of play, probably more of our audience. But if people are if there's a large cohort of people exclusively playing battle royale, maybe that influences us to deviate the game a little bit more on that side to more battle royale themes or something completely unique. Same thing with arena. Maybe like we could deviate from there or experiment more with stuff.
Right. That makes sense. And, speaking of arena, I think one of my favorite things about the original Splitgate was that just, especially once it reached a certain point in its life cycle, there was just so much variety there in the modes. Like like everything you could think of was there. I mean, infection, one in the chamber, laser tag. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And right now, Splitgate 2 is using like a. I think most people probably don't even know the breadth of modes that are in the custom game settings. There's a ton of stuff there that you can queue up in custom games. But as far as the rotating LTMs and new modes coming to the game, I know you can't divulge any information, but is there anything that End0fForever really wants to see in the game in the future, mode wise? Like, what would you like to see?
Yeah, we were hanging out with the community the other day. Last Friday, we had a play together event. Not hunt the devs, play together. Although you could hunt the devs in the Discord server. And Ian and I were well. Someone brought up like, "Hey, is contamination going to come back?" Splitgate 1 contamination was basically our zombies mode, infection mode. And it's like, I mean, that'd be a cool thing to add, right? It's not in the game obviously right now, but like it'd be cool if we could add that. And I brought up like, oh man, imagine as like infection mode on the onslaught maps, like this huge, or even the battle royale sized maps. So that's something I hope to see, something crazy like that. Asymmetrical maps or asymmetrical teams going off each other, doing crazy stuff like that. So like I know like we have a dedicated engineer just for game modes, Ben Rockland, finest Ben. I think a lot of people in the community know who he is. He's great. That's specifically his job as an engineer is to program the game modes. And yeah, like he's definitely cooking up stuff. He's gotta wait and see.
Sounds like a plan. So as somebody who played Splitgate 1 through its whole life, I have complete confidence that we're going to see tons of new modes and experiences in the future. And people have already done some crazy stuff with the lab as the community too, which we'll get into in a bit. But speaking of Arena and BR and the differences between the two and approaches, you and I talked about this once before, but skill-based matchmaking across all FPSs has been like a big topic over the last, I'd say 3 to 5 years. I just wondered if you could, don't get me started on the XDefiant skill-based matchmaking marketing, but anyway, I just wanted to know if you could explain 1047's approach right now to skill-based matchmaking in Splitgate 2.
Man, I could go on a whole rant about this. I'll try to resist. Yeah, so the philosophy is very simple, right? If it's unranked, you're going to be able to match up against pretty much anybody, especially if you're in the middle of the pack. But if you're towards the extremes, you're a super noob or you're just super pro. The super noobs are never going to play against the super pros. In fact, noobs are probably never going to be playing against the super pros, right? But like if you're at that like lower middle end, I see most complaints from that section of your hidden MMR. Like we have an MMR, right? It's hidden in unranked, and yeah, like if you're like okay, you're not good at the game, but you're like okay, you're serviceable. Like you don't weigh down your teammate that much. You're gonna win enough to where you're gonna see people from the top 100 in your game, and that's just the nature of having a loosely based skill-based matchmaking.
Right.
That's just how it is, right? So like the alternative is I see people on Twitter saying, "Oh, SBMM ruins FPSs, ruins matchmaking, whatever, ruins games." And I'm like, I don't think you understand what you're saying when you say you don't want any skill-based matchmaking. Like, you might be the pro that dominates the noob in a certain game, but like in another game, it's like another match of a given game. Someone way better than you can squash you, right? Like it goes full circle. I don't care how good you are. There's always someone better. I'm afraid. At least better in a one given match. So yeah, I mean, there's got to be a little bit, right? Like you can't just let it be free for all. When it comes to matchmaking, if you're talking about Counter-Strike with like private servers, you get what you get. Right. Everyone has that expectation. But when you're matchmaking, what you're expecting as a player is a little bit of balance, like at least some kind of balance. Right. And obviously with ranked, like that's strict as can possibly can. What people are experiencing right now with ranked is a bug with skill-based matchmaking. Basically, it for all intents and purposes, well, maybe not intents, but just the end of the effect of this bug is basically no skill-based matchmaking. So if you wanted a great example of a ranked game mode, or just like a matchmaking playlist in general with no skill-based matchmaking, the current iteration of Splitgate 2 ranked is prime example of that. That's what no skill-based matchmaking looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone hates it.
Right.
And I think that's case closed.
Well, it's really interesting because like there's no right answer, right? There's only, and that's why I ask about what's 1047's approach, because
Yeah.
there's games with all sorts of approaches. There's like, X Defiant literally tried to make its name based on, hey, no skill based matchmaking, right? And everybody thought they were gonna, that was the thing, no skill based matchmaking, blah blah blah. And then it turned out, not a lot of people wanted to play that game long term, even though that's what they all called for.
Yeah, I blame the tier 1 streamers for parroting that false talking point.
Well, right, and then you've got other approaches, where people complain about, Call of Duty's is too strict and it's just a sweat fest. Then you've got games like Fortnite, which try to drop bots in, to try to make it a little more, and then people don't like that either. Well, get these bots out of here; they're not real players, and you can't please everybody.
No.
So let's talk about the lab, which is the Splitgate 2's map editor. This, pretty infamously was a big pain point for Halo fans when Infinite launched without Forge. But then once it launched, we saw Forge produce a ton of content for Halo, and Splitgate 2 did launch with the lab and map editor. And if you guys haven't looked at it yet, seriously, go into the map browser. There's an insane amount of stuff in there. Remakes from other games, classic maps, original creations from creators in the community.
My favorite are the sliding racing maps.
That's my question. So you've probably seen a lot of this stuff. You're a community manager, so I'm sure you've browsed a lot of this stuff. So what are your favorite creations that you've seen?
Yeah, that Rainbow Road map is pretty freaking awesome. Obviously Nuketown, like someone figured out how to directly import a Unreal Engine 5 map into Splitgate 2. They didn't even use the lab. They just used the ability of porting an Unreal Engine map. And so like there's like, if you go into that, there's not a small wooden table that you can just plop in the game. Like that's not a prop in the lab.
And I think it was like like Lockout, like one of the versions of Lockout. I was like, how the hell did this get here?
Yeah. So people figured out how to directly import Unreal Engine 5 maps. And so that kind of scared us a little bit, because like, if you can do that, you can literally do anything.
Uncensored stuff. Maybe I should.
We're on the ball to make sure, there's a really easy report function if you see something crazy.
Right.
And we act on that really, really quickly. But I mean, like as a gamer, I love to see that. I love to see unrestricted freedom.
Right.
And even if you aren't tech savvy enough to directly import Unreal Engine 5 maps, like the ones that are purely made inside the game are freaking awesome. I really love the ones that really utilize the sliding features, the movement basically of the game. I love portaling and all, but I think, and this might be a hot take, and this is my personal take, but sliding with the slide perk as arrows, that's better than portaling. Like it just feels so amazing.
The movement when you get like a really good slide going. Is very good.
Like it's actually kind of crazy that something that good can just be randomly, I think, just better than portals. Like, I love portals, and I love combining.
That's what's great though, is you can play the game basically however your play style fits. You got the Sabrask, who are kind of like stand and fight, to quote Doom the Dark Ages marketing mantra, with the shield and stuff. Then you've got arrows, which are crazy sliding and movement, and then you've got Meridian, with the wall hacks and just. It's very interesting. And speaking of the lab, again, we've already seen, and we just talked about something that is in the game that wasn't even foreseen, which is the importing of Unreal Engine 5 maps. But when it comes to the lab, again, we've already seen some crazy stuff. Are there any features that you personally want to see come to the lab in the future that you think the community would like really go wild for or with?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'll say like Halo Infinite, despite whatever issues are going on with there, like, I guess like the aura around Halo is not the greatest right now. Halo Infinite is definitely has the best map editor like in the space right now, because they had the framework for AI, right? Like you can spawn a bunch of grunts or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, I hope we can have some kind of like AI
Mhm.
functionality, like as simple as like I don't know a bot. Like
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be like an elite from a Halo campaign, right? It's just something that we can easily add into the game asset wise, but we have to program like the
Mhm.
behavior and give that power to the person using the lab. So AI would be really sick. That's not confirmation or whatever. That's something
No,
I
it's just
wish I
what
could
you want
see.
to see. That's what
Yeah, that's what I want
Endo
to
wants
see.
to see.
Yeah. And one other thing is scripting.
Mhm.
I think if you're just able to do simple things like my map should have a gray portal that connects from this part of the map to this part of the map. You can't
Mhm.
close the portal. It's just there forever. You can't destroy it. And like stuff like that would be really sick. Or like, doors. You can open and close them. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, things like that just adds a lot of life
I was
to maps.
I was learning within debt, for those of you who may be familiar with the unfortunate story of Midnight Society's dead drop, myself and a bunch of others, we're learning Lua scripting. They had enabled that, and I know that that's a whole other world that you're enabling, but like you
Oh,
said,
well,
that
eventually we'll
enables a
have a
ton
mod
of
kit.
abilities.
Eventually we'll have a mod kit.
Hmm.
So like you'll be able to like if you're a programmer, a modder, like you should be
Hmm.
able to do stuff. But
That's awesome,
that's not common anytime soon.
right?
Just keep that in mind. But I know that's something that's top of mind for later.
Speaking of AI and so on, just again the things you'd like to see in the future. Do you remember, or did you play? Oh, it was the Dead by Daylight developers. They made like this like obscure game called Meet Your Maker. Are you familiar with that game?
I hear about that game from time to time, but I've never played
I
it.
feel like almost no one plays it, but it was one of those games that was really cool where it was like the main idea was to like conquer. There was like no not really any combat even really, but like conquer these like fortresses. And they had made a bunch of these like fortresses or like temples, almost out of like Indiana Jones, but like with like aliens and crazy stuff, sci-fi direction. But they included a an editor to create your own like temples and so on. And the editor was really, really, really good. And when I saw that, I was instantly like, the community can go like this is like an infinite amount of content idea, like this map editor, because you create enemies
Oh
and
yeah,
have them path through the temple however you want to, and set all that stuff.
I heard.
So
Yeah, I remember people talking about that
I think
recently.
you'd like that. You should check it out.
Yeah, yeah, I should definitely check that out.
Yeah, especially yeah, you're getting into AI development yourself and so on. So check that out.
Well, my kind of AI develop, yeah, might be slightly
Different
different.
problem.
They might be one and the same eventually. See some chat GBT marching down your temple trying to kill you.
Skynet. You mentioned Splitgate lore earlier, and the BR map that you mentioned, that now there's some new little piece of lore there. And for people who don't know your complete history and stuff, you were originally involved in kind of eh, to some extent, some of the foundations of Splitgate lore. And for those of you who aren't aware, there's actually, you can still read it. There's a comic series on a Splitgate companion app, with some stories there. You know I'm a
Wow.
huge lore fan and storytelling fan
Yeah.
in general. So I just wanted to ask you, as somebody who's delved into that world quite a bit, do you think there'll be an expansion of Splitgate lore in some format in the future?
Oh gosh. Unfortunately, I think the answer is almost guaranteed no.
Yeah.
I want to leave like a 0.1% chance
Hmm.
of an expansion because like we don't firmly know like what we want to do. Like because we're figuring it out right now.
Right. Priorities.
We don't know 100% sure where we want to take the game long term. We're
Right.
kind of focusing on the medium term right now and
Right.
then stretching that out as we
Hmm.
go along. So there is a very minute chance, but like the general vibe right now is, especially when we revealed the game in August. I wasn't
Hmm.
part of the company at that moment in time.
Hmm.
In August of 2024, the game was announced, and it had, understandably, a bit of community backlash because it seemed like we were making like a Overwatch clone or something like
Hmm.
that, like some kind of hero shooter,
Was
which
that
was
the CG
definitely not
trailer?
what we
Was
were
that
doing.
the announcement trailer?
Yeah, the
With like
announcement
the
trailer, the CG trailer.
characters? Yeah.
Yeah, they're like talking to each other and they're
Yeah.
like bantering and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and like I can probably spend a whole podcast talking about like why we were taking that approach because I was involved. with the brainstorming leading up to that.
Mhm.
Not that, so I guess you can blame me a little bit for that, how that turned out, but I wasn't part of the company when we revealed it. But anyways, that was part of like, we wanted to push out a lot of lore. That's why we made that companion app.
Mhm.
And we somewhat blame that approach, not the lore existing per se, but like pushing the lore aspects of it
Mhm.
to be a total miscommunication with the community of like what we
Mhm.
want to say to them about what this game is.
Mhm.
Um, because we had this thought that like people like lore, like you,
Mhm.
and that like, hey, let's give them lore. And
Right.
what we didn't anticipate was that it'd be interpreted as like, this doesn't seem like like the sequel to Splitgate
Mhm.
that we wanted.
Mhm.
And so we had to do a lot of backtracking, and we stopped making new comics for the app. We
Mhm.
basically, the app exists, but it's never getting an update ever again, as far as
Mhm.
I'm aware. At least
Mhm.
not with like lore stuff.
Right.
Who knows what we do in the future, right? But um, yeah, I'd basically just, as much as I hate to see it because I love the lore too,
Yeah.
I helped make it.
Right.
I wouldn't count on it having a big role at all
Yeah.
with the future of the game,
Right. I thought it was
if at
really
all.
interesting that so I mean I love lore and I mentioned this too. Like I think even games like Overwatch and Apex Legends they're totally focused on what they are as a game, but they still have some type
Yep.
of like even like BR map changes can roll out some type of seasonal
Yeah, Apex has got
storylines.
some cool like animations that they release on their channel,
Yeah, they have
and
in-game
it's like, oh, that's
comics and
cool.
stuff.
Yeah,
But I thought it was really interesting. And again, this is going to come off as I'm saying this. This is my video, so I can say this. But when 1047 was hyping something big coming, which ultimately led to the battle royale reveal,
yeah,
how many people thought campaign? Because like if you're and I get it, like it is a it's been part of the FPS genre since 1993 or whatever. But um, if people understand how many resources that time and money it takes to develop a campaign and then like it's like a single use item these days, you know what I mean? It's like you open an energy drink, you drink it, okay, now it's gone,
cool.
that's it, and gamers usually leave those things behind these days. It would have been such a huge and expensive undertaking, as cool as we could all imagine it being, right?
Uh,
It certainly, you know, just my opinion here, would have
sure.
sunk the entire company probably overnight to release a AAA
Well,
FPS campaign. Uh,
yeah, I mean, like, just think about it, right? Like, can you name any free to play first person shooter that came with a full fledged campaign?
no, definitely not.
So
Infinites you had
it's
to
a
pay
totally
for
different
full
business
price.
model, right? Like, yeah, we can go into like what makes a campaign so time intensive, resource intensive to make. Like, let's just assume everybody agrees with that. We'd have to charge money for the game, and that's not healthy for a multiplayer focused game.
Right.
Like, I know people are probably thinking like, well, Call of Duty does it. Overwatch did it when they launched back in
Hmm.
2016. Like, that was the exception. Like, the rule is Concord. You pay for your game,
Yeah.
it's gonna like, if it's a multiplayer focused game, it's gonna fail.
Right. Right.
Um, unless you're Call of Duty,
Right.
unless you hit some kind of really flash in the pan, lightning in a bottle moment like Overwatch did.
Hmm.
Overwatch had to eventually go free to play, so like,
Right.
um, it wouldn't have made sense for our business model. And I know what there's gonna be some people in the community, because like we were paying close attention to this in the community team. Our CEO Ian on Twitter, I think it was Twitter or maybe it was Reddit. He mentioned this when someone was speculating, like, "Oh, what's this? Like, what's this secret thing?" People were there was mumblings in the community, like, "What's this big thing
Hmm.
1047 is going to do?" And someone on, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Reddit now. They were saying like, "Oh, guys, I think it's a campaign. I
Yeah.
think it's a
I saw that a
campaign. What do you guys
ton.
think of that?" And Ian, um, okay, I don't want to sound like I'm blaming him, but like Ian is the first person to admit like he will take the blame for a lot of the woes that we're
Hmm.
currently feeling right now. So like I want to make that clear. Like I have no ill will towards Ian.
Right.
Um, and like I know him personally, he's great. We all make mistakes, right? And he's the
Hmm.
first to admit it. He said, "Think bigger," to
Hmm.
the speculation that it was going to be a campaign,
Hmm.
or Wait,
I,
maybe it wasn't.
as
Maybe
I
they weren't
remember,
speculating it was a campaign, but they were. But anyways, the
I think you're
conclusion
right.
of
I think you're right.
yeah, the conclusion of like him saying think bigger was like, whoa, what can be bigger than a campaign? This is going to be nuts, and people were
MMORPG.
having crazy speculation at that point, and not and then Reddit in particular. And I guess that spread to the whole community. Really was like,
Mhm.
if it's like, there's no way it's a battle royale. That's too small.
Mhm.
Oops,
Right.
miscommunication. That
Right.
was a mistake to say it that way.
Right. Well, I do think that as far as impact, a battle royale is bigger than a campaign. So it depends on what lens you're looking at the question through. You know what I mean? Because I do think that BRs attract more players than campaigns. I agree with that. So it just depends when you think
Yeah.
bigger.
Well, the exact opposite of our game is Doom: The Dark Ages, right? It's a single
Right.
player only game.
Right.
There's not even a battle mode like in
Right.
Eternal, right?
Right.
So,
Yep. Big Doom fan
and
here.
their model works fine for them because it's a campaign.
Well, I mean, there's rumblings that the Dark Ages, underperformed sales wise when compared to its predecessor,
Well,
but we'll see.
my personal opinion is it's the weakest of the trilogy of the recent Dooms.
I
That's my
personally
opinion.
think it's better than 2016, but it's all
Sure.
it's one of those things
Yeah.
where what flavor is your favorite? I
Yeah,
swear,
they're three flavors.
I
Yeah.
swear that Eternal is like one of the best first person shooters of all time, and then there's other people that play it and they like can't even figure out the gameplay loop and they're like, this sucks.
As a Splitgate player, Eternal really resonated with me.
Oh, it was
Like,
great.
oh, I can zip around and do whatever I want as
Right.
long as I dodge. Like, it's
Right.
sick.
Yeah. Eternal. I
Yeah.
agree that Eternal is the best.
Yeah.
Collaborations are a huge part of the gaming industry these days. And it's something that I certainly hope is in Splitgate 2's future. But just as speaking as End0fForever, as a player, as a longtime fan, what would be your dream collaboration for Splitgate 2 in the future?
Oh, my dream. Yeah.
Or if you got a few, name them all.
Man, well, like I see the Doom Slayer shredding on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3
Yeah.
plus 4. Man, imagine Doom Slayer portaling. He has his own Doom portal
Doom Slayer's
that he
totally a
walks through.
Sabrask, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Man, that would be the sickest thing. Obviously there's like low hanging fruit. Like, well, it's not low hanging in terms of collaboration. Like, it would be freaking. Everyone knows it'd be freaking awesome. Master Chief, of course.
Right. Right.
People say Master Chief or Sabrask, but I don't know. I feel like he's more of an Eros, in my opinion. I don't know why.
He's hard to place in one of the three factions, I feel.
Like, if it's Halo Infinite, Master Chief, I kind of feel like with the grapple, the feels a little more Eros-y to me.
Yeah.
Because he's zipping around. If you're talking about like Halo 3, Sabrask, yeah.
I think yeah, he's hard. I mean, that idea alone is really exciting to me. Like, you could do, and I know I'm getting wild with my speculation here,
yeah, we're just speculating here.
But,
no
but
harm
like,
in that.
you could do a collaboration with a franchise, and you could do one character for all three, like 3 different characters for all 3 factions. You know what I mean? Like, if you collaborated
What would be a good Viridian crossover? Among Us?
Jesus. Bloodhound from Apex or something like that. But
Oh,
that's
an
what I mean.
Apex?
Like,
Oh, a direct competitor would be that'd be
well,
ballsy to try to get
yeah,
something like
but
that.
you could collaborate with an anime, for example. I wouldn't recommend this, but it's very popular these days. And you could pull 3 different characters from said anime, and one could be Sabrask, one could be Meridian, and one could be Arrows. That's an interesting thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're kind of thinking through how the faction system's going to work going forward. We're kind of like, nothing's confirmed, by the way. I'll just tell you what we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking of totally changing kind of like that dynamic of like, if you pick Sabrask right now, if you pick Sabrask, you're locked into a certain ability, a certain suite of weapons and equipment. We're kind of like rethinking like, how should that work going forward as we like try to be more of a core community focused game rather than a broad appeal type of game. So who knows what that'll take. Something's gonna change. So we'll see. That might help inform what we do with collaborations.
Right. So you can answer this whether however you want, whether it says End0fForever as an individual or as a member of 1047. But so geez. Has 1047 been around for a decade yet? It's gotta be getting close, right?
I think technically they were founded in either late 2017 or early 2018.
Okay, so we're getting close.
Yeah.
But where do you hope to see Splitgate and 1047 a decade from now? Where do you hope to see it?
Well, I hope that. Well, let me give you a little background of like why I think this way before I say it.
Sure.
So like Splitgate 2 didn't reach our goals and expectations in terms of like when we got out the door, like we hit 25,000 concurrent players, as people clearly see on Steam charts, SteamDB. We feel like that could have been a lot worse, but it should have been a lot better in our initial goals. And maybe that was hubris. Maybe that was just several miscalculations along the way. But Splitgate 2 is not going anywhere. Like it's got this game. Like Ian and Nick, the co-founders of 1047, they are the most diligent, hardworking, never quit type of people that I've ever seen. And so Splitgate 2 is like not going anywhere. Like it's gonna still exist, and they're still going to iterate on it no matter what. But even the most successful games eventually, maybe a sequel comes out. So I hope in 10 years they've at least moved on to Splitgate 3.
Yeah.
but overall, what I really want to see, I want them to make different types of games, more games in general. I think they've learned a lot from this launch. The launch of Splitgate 1 and the relaunch of Splitgate 1, but this launch of Splitgate 2, they learned a ton about what to do and what not to do, especially when it comes to live service games. Hope they spread their wings a little bit and maybe come up with another idea for another game. Not to replace Splitgate 2, that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But to continue to branch out, but grow a portfolio of games that 1047 games made this and this and this. It's not just the Splitgate company,
right?
And I'm talking we're talking about a 10-year span,
right.
like a 10-year plan, like a big company would want to make.
Right.
Yeah, like they definitely.
You'd want to diversify.
I hope the company is successful enough that they've gone public.
Right.
But also, yeah, I want to see them. Bottom line, I want to see them make more games.
What would be your personal? I know Splitgate is the answer right now, but what would be your personal 1047 dream project for that branch off? What would you like to see as a fan?
Geez, they don't have to go far from what they've done, right? Like the idea of portals can be applied to so many different genres. And it doesn't have to be like the main mechanic like it is in Splitgate, but just like they do, even if we're not going to be pushing out lore for Splitgate 2, like we still have a lore Bible. A Bible is like an industry term for like, here's a source of truth for everything in our universe that we're cultivating. So it helps the artists know like how to make certain, environments or guns or whatever.
Yeah. This faction uses these colors.
They can just tap into that lore and just do something else. Like, I just got a Switch 2 recently, and there's a game called Fast Fusion. It's like a Wipeout clone. Like I could see like a Wipeout clone type of game work really well in the Splitgate universe. Not saying I want 1047 games to make that game, but as an example, like that could make sense, right? Like it's a sporty, optimistic universe where anything can happen. So if they wanted to make something in the universe, they could definitely do that easily. I feel like with years down the line, they could come up with something totally entirely different. They've got a lot of creative people over there.
Maybe Valve will just hire 1047 and make Portal 3 since they don't seem interested in doing it. So
the world is our oyster, right? Like anything can happen. And just for anyone who wants to clip this part of Bear's podcast, I want to emphasize I'm talking about in the scope of 10 years, nothing in the immediate future. Like this is not a reflection of like whatever. It does like Splitgate. We wish Splitgate 2 was more successful, but like it's not going anywhere. And it's gonna be continued to be iterated on. By the span of 10 years, there's gonna be more games made.
Right. You basically don't release a game these days, basically, especially in the live service space, without a 10-year plan for said game. And then anything you do outside of that is gravy.
Yep.
So with all that said, what do you think the Splitgate fans and players right now should be looking forward to at this point in time? And you can make this a looking forward however far you want, whether it's 6 months or 2 years or whatever. What do you think fans should look forward to?
I'll split this answer up into three. So short term, medium term, long term. So short term, we've got a update coming up this week as of recording, July 21st. That's going to fix a lot of like these really urgent, pressing bugs that have been annoying people since launch, and some even more recently than that. Chapter 3, so month 3 of season 1. That's going to be the third part of the battle pass is going to release. I think that's got some of our best stuff from this season's battle pass, personally. So yeah, look forward to that. We made all the content for season 1 before the launch happened, just so you guys know. So like we weren't just like pumping this out as we went. Like we had a plan for season 1, and then once our goals weren't exactly met, we've been trying to pivot for the medium term. So the medium term, we're gonna be making some important announcements in the near future. I don't want to overhype it, because I hate when people say they make an announcement for an announcement. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then in the long term, Splitgate's not going anywhere. Like I know if you're someone in the community who's really disappointed, mad, angry about the current state of the game, like look, like while it's not ideal, far from ideal, we don't want you to be mad. But the fact that you're mad is a good indication that you care about the game, and we would rather you care about the game and be disappointed than just totally be apathetic and like put your hands up like I'm never touching this game again. Like we want to at least work with you, work with the community as we rethink this whole thing out, right? Because like I said, Splitgate's not going anywhere. I keep saying that, sounds like I'm defensive, but like what do you want me to do? Like I want to convince people that like, hey, like this game is, you're not gonna have to worry about the stop killing games movement with Splitgate 2. Like right. So yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure. And yeah, long term, like this game's like it's gonna continue to get better. You have amazing people working on this game, and yeah, I personally, because I know them, I have an advantage over people in the community. I know that leadership, I've got confidence that they'll figure it out, and this experience that they've had with all the mistakes, that's just making them smarter and more equipped to make good decisions going into the future.
That's definitely good to hear, and instills confidence. So before I forget, we're talking about the future and so on and so forth. When the hell are we getting the cowboy hat skin that was shown in the trailer? I've wanted this skin since I saw it. So you got to tell us right now, when is the cowboy hat coming?
I don't know 100%. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's coming in chapter 3 at some point. Like we're going to release a bundle with it during chapter 3. So that's in like chapter 3 starts in the beginning of August. So 9 days from now.
It's season 1 sometime.
Chapter 3, season 1. Okay. So before any season 2 stuff.
I'm holding out on burning through my split coin because I'm like, I gotta have enough when the cowboy hat comes out because I'm buying it instantly.
Heck yeah.
All right, that takes us through all of our questions today. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and talk Splitgate with me. It's always a pleasure to talk with you about the industry and Splitgate and everything else. So guys, everybody who's watching the video, thanks for watching. If there's one thing I know about 1047, it's that they're always listening. So if you're watching this video and you've got questions, thoughts, comments, they're always, take it from their community manager. They're always listening. So throw your thoughts down in the comments, your questions for the community. Like Endo said, there's a lot of them reading X, Twitter, Reddit. So the Discord, put your feedback out there. They're listening, and keep talking because they're listening. And like the CEO and Endo say, it's about building the game together. So keep giving your feedback. So Endo, thanks again. Appreciate your time. And
thanks for having me.
Good luck to you. I can't wait to see what's in your future as well.
I'll still be around in the community, so say hi if you ever see me.
Will do. All right. Thank you.